This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello and welcome to the Super J-Cast. My name is Damon McDonald. Of course you know that. But with me this week is a special guest, because usually sitting in the seat driving the ship, as we like to say, driving the boat, Joel is away on a wonderful month-long holiday. It's like Rich Craich all over again. He is in the UK with his family for the first time in many, many, many years, and he is having a wonderful time. And but I needed to make a tag. I sent out the bat signal, and of course, the first person we think of when it comes to saving our asses and having a wonderful pro wrestling type guest, a cigar expert, a Kota Ibushi scholar, a Super J-Cast Hall of Famer. Oh, yes, we had that. Remember that? Wasn't that fun? We scrapped that idea. Hey, everyone. You may know her as Booze Leprechaun on Twitter, but it's Nicole Redo, and we are happy to have her here on the Super J-Cast. Hi, Nicole. How are you?
South Jersey representing.
Yes, that's right. We're both. I'm currently there. No, you're in Houston, is it?
Yeah, I'm currently in Houston. Burning.
And it's hot.
Oh, fuck. It's like the inside of Satan's asshole.
That's not comfortable at all.
No.
My God. What is it? Like 100 Fahrenheit?
No, it's mid 90s, but the real feel is like 105.
It's too hot.
Yeah.
That's just not right.
No.
Human beings can't survive in that weather. I'm just letting you know. I don't know. I don't know if you know this. They can't do it. They can't do it. I could never survive down there. I don't like the wind. I'm the Joe Lanza of the show. I don't like the sun. I will burn. I don't like sweating. It's too hot. Why? You can move. Nicole, you can move.
I could move, but it's cheap to live down here. There's no state income tax.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. There's a plus.
Yeah.
And the food's better, probably, right?
Yeah. I mean, Houston normally, I think, cracks the top 10 of America's fattest cities.
Yeah, I fit right in. Slide right in. Go on. Tacos best?
Yeah, and obviously being in Houston, we have, you can either get the Tex-Mex tacos or the proper Mex-Mex tacos. Like I've got a little taco truck right around the corner, and I've lived down here since '94, and I still barely know enough Spanish to like make my way around the taco truck. Like I just learned like a month ago the difference between mini tacos and regular tacos at the taco truck. And all it is the number of corn tortillas they give you.
Oh, I was thinking size. I was going to be like, okay, one smaller, I guess. It's the amount.
Right. That's what I just kind of assumed. Oh, I'll get a regular sized taco and I'll get some more meat. And no, I just get more corn tortillas.
Okay.
But they charge you more for it. So my taco truck, what they call a mini taco or mini taquito, $1. I want the regular taco, which again, all I'm getting ultimately is more corn tortillas, $2.
No extra meat, no extra fillings, no extra sour cream, nothing, just the tortilla.
No, so at the taco truck, they're Mex-Mex tacos. So I always get pastor, which is pork. I love the pastor. And it's normally just meat, and then if I want it, cilantro. And then I have to ask for extras. Like I'm not asking for sour cream because I know they laugh at me as it is.
Is that a faux pas? Is that a taco faux pas?
No, I think they laugh at me because I try to say machete, which is another Mexican. It's delicious. It's just this fuck long thing of meat stuffed in a tortilla.
All right.
It's delicious, but I'm pretty sure I'm always butchering it because I'm trying to pronounce it correctly, and I'm just a white girl from South Jersey.
It always reminds me of I forget. I think it was on all these Voices of Wrestling references today. Someone described Stephanie McMahon's smile as the white woman who says gracias at the Mexican restaurant or some nonsense like that.
It's either that or she's the white woman handing out the pox blankets.
Okay, right. Just, I mean, but here's the thing: you've acclimated yourself pretty nicely down there, though. All right,
Yeah.
like it doesn't feel like it was such a huge culture shock because I think to me, going from the Philadelphia area to Houston, I think I would survive like a week.
I think it helped that I was doing it when I was 18, right? I did it right out of high school. So there was all that adventure in me because I wanted to get the fuck out of South Jersey.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Right. And I still miss it. I always say that if I was crazy enough to get married and have kids, I would take my kids back up north because the education is significantly better up in the north than it is in Houston, or in Texas in general.
Yeah, you're already learning Spanish. You know,
yeah, enough Spanish that I can order food in a restaurant and get what I want. That's about it. Like I know more Russian than I do Spanish.
Really?
Yeah, I took.
Now why? Go ahead. Why would this be? Because that's A, it's not an easy language, and B, right? Like what are you looking at? Fucking hockey prospects? What are you doing?
No. I took it as my language in college. I'd taken German in high school for 3 years, but I knew while I was good, I wasn't going to be good enough to test out of it for college. And I was like, okay, if I got to take 2 years of a language, let me kind of do something different. And one of my side things, just for fun, is I love Eastern European history. And,
wow. Okay.
Yeah. Like my bookshelf is just littered with books on like Serbia and the Balkans and Russia and all that.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, I'll take. Why don't I take Russian? And I found, at least for me, and obviously your mileage is going to vary. That was a fairly easy language for me to pick up.
Really?
Yeah, it's like the alphabet is obviously different, and that had me worried. And I partly I had two really awesome professors. One that actually came from, I think it was Lithuania, and the other one was just an American that had studied Russian and had been, I think, like an army translator and things like that. Yeah. Really great class, and it was small, so it was kind of perfect in that regards as well, because I think at most there was maybe like 10 of us.
Okay.
So great.
Yeah, those are the best classes.
Yeah.
The lower the student count, the better. And it always seems like the better teachers gravitate there, doesn't it? Like you'll have the best teacher in that type of environment as opposed to a 30 or 50 or how many other people are in the class.
Yeah, and like I like the guy so much that he taught a course 1 year on like early Russian literature, and I'm like, okay, I got to take this course as an elective because I just like this guy so much.
You read his work?
No, he didn't write any, but he was just teaching. So we're doing Pushkin and Nabokov and all that jazz. But he also just had this great dry sense of humor. Like I remember one class where he goes, sour cream is the lifeblood of the Russian people. If they don't eat a quart of it a day, they die.
See, now that might explain the sour cream thing.
Yes.
When you get the tacos. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Now we're coming full fucking circle here.
Yeah.
Look at this.
But 18, so I was excited and adventurous. I lived on campus. And, U of H, I went to University of Houston. It is a very diverse campus, a nice mix of, your traditional student and what they like to call the non-traditional student, that older person that is, decided to go back to college.
Okay, nice. All right.
So it was just perfect for me when I was, in my teens. And then when I graduated, I'm like, I've made friends. I like it down here. It's cheap to live down here. And I'll stay. And I've stayed ever since.
And again, the summers haven't pulled you away yet.
The summers are weird. Like, yes, it's been hot. Houston, though, has this wonderful thing called air conditioning.
Oh, you got one of those,
right?
Okay.
So you will go into any building in Houston, and the AC is almost perpetually cranked to like somewhere in the 60s or the low 70s.
Now we're talking.
I always amazed. So I went to campus for a visit, and I'm like, why is everybody walking around in jeans with a sweatshirt on their side when it's 100 degrees outside? And then I realized why. It's you go into the classrooms and they're freezers. You could hang meat in them.
Nice. I like it cold. I like a cold room.
Yeah.
I definitely love a cold room, like for sleeping. That's another thing. My air conditioner would be on. I think year round. I think year round it would be on down there. No doubt. All right. I don't want to bore everybody with with air conditioning talk. I mean, listen, I'm sure you're very well versed in the HVACRs, but I don't know if you know this. We do a New Japan Pro Wrestling podcast. I don't know about structure, and I was talking to you a little bit about that. Like there's news to cover, and we definitely will get there. But I kind of wanted to just kind of pick your brain on New Japan in this year 2022. Where you stand, where you see this company going. Do you see an end of the light? All that nonsense. So, my first question to you is this. 2022, are we back?
I don't know if we're back. I think we're close to being back. I think, and I know if we want to kind of jump into one part of the news items now, I think cheering is the last impetus for everyone to feel like we're back. Corrigan had like 1,200 people for Kushida's return match. I mean, that place was packed. It was hot, no pun intended, crowd. And I think at this point, for most people, it would be cheering. For me, cheering, like that was probably the most annoying discourse the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Because I just took it as, well, that's just the state of things. I can complain about it, but it's not going to change. And I just accepted that there would be no cheering. Now, also, I think part of that might be because I also watch Japanese baseball and I watch sumo. So I was watching these other things in Japan that were just as lacking in cheers. So maybe I was a little more used to it. And for me, I'm also of the opinion that if you need cheering to take a match from an okay match to a notebook match, that's not on the match, that's on you.
Okay.
Because I think a match should be able to exist in the vacuum of silence. And because you can still see the moves, you can still see what they're doing. You just aren't feeding off the crowd's reaction to tell you how to feel. You've got to feel it yourself.
Okay. Do you think that took away, I mean, for any promotion, not just New Japan, but do you think during the whole pandemic that element being missing took away any of your enjoyment or any of your, I don't know, passion for specifically New Japan, but pro wrestling in general?
Definitely. And I think for me, it was, it's a reminder of the dystopian hellscape that we're living in.
Right.
But also as somebody that spent that dystopian hellscape not missing any work because we defied the shutdown in the city because I still had bills to pay, and dealing with retail in Texas where you'd have a mix of people that were either one end of the spectrum wrapped in bubble and masked up and getting jabbed as many times as they could to the guy that literally slipped me a fake HIPAA card as to why he was not wearing a mask.
Really?
And then those guys, I was like, can I charge your card for $1,000 then? Why? Because I'm going to get fined $1,000 if a cop comes by and sees your unmasked ass in my store.
Right.
Because that's how the laws were written to penalize the business owners, not the actual people not wearing masks.
Right. You were the ones that were going to get, it was your responsibility as a business owner to regulate that yourselves, which is really unfair. You're trying to run a fucking business. All right, let's not get. Let's. I'm gonna take the boat. Take that fucking boat. Turn it this way. We're gonna. So, with that being said, again, New Japan. For those who don't know, New Japan Pro Wrestling had a little. What would you call it? Like a business kind of State of the Union kind of thing.
I guess it was weird though, because how many businesses would have wrestlers at it? Because WWE doesn't have this. WWE doesn't have Cena come on to their earnings calls with Wall Street. But their Obari was having Tanahashi, having Hiromu. I think the big thing was that they had great Okan on it. And I think that says a lot about how the company views him, that they would have him at this thing that's meant to be a forward-facing State of the Union to public and shareholders and the like. Because, Yoshi-Hashi's not getting invited to these things.
Well, Yoshi-Hashi's also not rescuing children and offering them pancakes. So until he does that, then maybe he gets invited to some of these events. Doesn't
he have like 7 of them? He's too busy with his own kids to go rescue other people's kids.
He probably rescued his own.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised. Is that a 7? Is that a number that is accurate?
It may not be 7, but there's more than one child in the Tacos household.
All right, is it if I set the over under number of 4? Is it over 4? Can you definitely?
I think it's over 4. Let me. I'm going to quick throw this to Discord because we have some tacos experts on Discord.
Really? What a pack of maniacs!
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, let's get this out of the way, right? Because I told you we're going to go all over the place. So, for those of you who do not know, and you should, our Discord is managed. Resided upon, or whatever you want to fucking ruled with an iron fist. Nicole is the head honcho. What has been the biggest joy for you moderating our Discord channel?
Besides keeping certain people out?
Do you like that? Do you like the kicking of people, the booting of people? Do you like that?
Only for one person, that was satisfying.
Okay.
But overall, but in all honesty, I think we've lucked out in that for the most part, it's a fairly positive, open community. Everyone, most people are, are just super chill, and we've just made a community where everybody's welcome if you get the pass from Joel. And it's one of those things where we'll have arguments with each other, but the minute we see one of our own getting into arguments with other people on other Discords or other social media, we're in like a pack of dogs protecting them.
No, it's good. All right, I like that. That's comforting. So, what advice would you give someone who is monitoring a Discord channel? Doesn't have to be pro wrestling, but what advice would you give that person to run a smooth ship? Or even better yet, what advice would you give 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, Nicole, on running a Discord channel?
Don't fucking do it.
I gotta be honest with you. I can't think of a worse fucking thing to do. I feel so bad for you sometimes. I'm just like, why would you do this?
I feel bad for myself sometimes. It's my how I've kept the bootings to a minimum. Right. Is basically you have to have. It's almost like being a teacher, in that you have to accept that there's a wide range of personalities. Mm-hmm. And if you're taking stock of how people are interacting and, what gets them into an argument per se, and what sets them off, and you've got to handle everybody differently, and I'll take
that sounds exhausting.
It is. It can be exhausting. Like when the drawbridge was open and everybody could come in, and that slightly wider range of personalities, I would always pull the trouble kids into a DM and just talk, right? Okay. And just be like, okay, here is why people are mad at you beyond just they think your take is shit, right? Mm-hmm. And let's have a chat, and let me try to explain why what you're saying is being interpreted the way you're saying it. I'm sure that you don't actually mean it in the vein that it's coming off as. And let's just chat and try to work through this and get everybody on a safe playing field and playing nice. Because it's also recognizing, especially with something like New Japan, is the wide variety of ages.
Yes.
So
that's one thing. Quite honestly, like when we would do, even the one in Chicago, like it felt like the age range varied tremendously, and even in Japan, it's amazing. And then people will come up and be like, "Oh, I'm whatever Twitter handle," and I don't really know them, but some of them I do. Like some of the older ones I do, and I was like, "Oh, that's you," and they're like, he's like 25, and then there's other ones that are like my age, 30.
Right. So it's also taking that into account and going, okay, you're a college kid, so your life experiences are significantly less than, say, mine, and you've just not really been out in the world and experienced things that would maybe have you react differently in this situation, because it's just about age and maturity. And it's one, getting other people to realize that, so there's not like the pitchforks and go, look, this individual is just a freshman in college, so they're obviously they have slightly different worldviews.
Right, that's true. I mean, you that's a very valid point. Something that I don't do that I probably should work on a little bit harder. When you got into this pro wrestling stuff, were you at all embarrassed by it? Like, would you tell friends that you were into this, or family members, or anything like that?
I don't know if I would say embarrassed. I think the embarrassment corresponded to whatever age I was at. So I talked a little bit about this on my first appearance, but I got into wrestling first go around in the 80s. So one of the first matches I remember seeing is Macho Man versus Steamboat, that match where he crushes Steamboat, crushes the throat with the ring bell. And there I am, maybe 8, 10, young. And I'm falling for it. I'm like, oh my God. And then I'm having to tune in next week to see what happens. In the household, it wasn't a big deal because I can remember my dad pirating. I think it was WrestleMania 3, because we had one of the.
Really? How did he get it?
We had one of those big old satellite dishes that kids today would look at it and think I'm sending messages to space for aliens. Right. Yeah. But we had one of those big old things, and you could just twiddle the knobs and just kind of hunt around and find things.
Find the actual feeds being beamed to the broadcast booths wherever it is. So it's like a raw feed, right?
Yeah. Oh, it was a lot of work. Like we stumbled on the feed for Star Trek: The Next Generation that they were sending to the different to all the different stations. So I've got VHS tapes of Star Trek Next Generation episodes that I would tape off the satellite dish that didn't have the commercial breaks.
That's awesome.
That just had the space to where then the individual stations would insert the commercials.
I always wanted that. Like growing up, I promise you, I was renting a house and I was this close to doing that. Like it would never work. Obviously, I'm renting the fucking house. I would probably be living there for a year, but yet I was fascinated by it. I wanted one so fucking bad. You have no idea. And then I was one of the bozos who bought like DirecTV when it first came out for like $600. That's like the one receiver. ridiculous. But I just wanted it because it was the hockey package.
Yeah. No, we ended up switching from, because that big ass dish, while it's cool, was obviously a pain to maneuver, because you can imagine the electronics in the 80s to maneuver that thing. So it's literally just like a big black box with a couple of dials on it. So you would twist one dial to find a specific satellite, and then you were twisting the other dial to see what was coming off that satellite.
Could you get Japanese stuff?
Probably. I mean, if I'd known any better, I would have hunted for those things.
Right.
But it was, we weren't doing that. Also, in the wintertime, you had to go out there and knock the snow off of it.
Right. Okay.
And things like that. My dad killed the neighbor's trees because they were blocking a bunch of the satellites.
So he cut them down?
No, what he did was he went out one night and he nailed copper nails into the base of the tree. Here's the trick. You get the copper nails in there, and eventually, very quickly, the tree grows over the copper nails. But then the copper nails start doing their work and kill the tree. So it's a slow play move, but
right.
It doesn't happen overnight. But eventually, it got to the point where the neighbors had to pay people to come out to cut the trees down.
What's the statute of limitations on that? like somebody listening, like, oh my God, that was our tree. I can't believe that was her.
Yeah.
All right. So again, embarrassing wrestling. So your friends were cool with it too?
My friends were relatively cool with it. I mean, I wasn't like rocking the shirts or anything. And it wasn't like I was going to shows. So it wasn't a thing of, oh, I can't hang with you tonight because I'm going to Philly to catch an ECW show or anything like that. And then I got to college and I ended up going to Survivor Series with a friend in 94 because neither of us went home for Thanksgiving. And he was like, hey, you want to just fly up to San Antonio and go watch Survivor Series? And I was like, okay.
Michaels? Is that the Michaels winning the belt?
No, that is Bret Hart versus Owen Hart.
Oh,
no,
wow.
not Owen Hart. It's Bret Hart, Bob Backlund. I quit match.
Oh, wow. All right.
And 40-year-old Nicole would go back and tell 18-year-old Nicole to like watch that match more closely because we were on the floor. And so obviously if you're on the floor for that match and most of the time they're in submission holds, it's not the most engaging match. Now I would go back and I'd be like, I would be all over it and appreciating it more than I did at the time.
See, now I'm just the opposite in the sense of I'll go back and watch old Backlund matches just because I don't know why. But, like I have every title defense from the Spectrum and Madison Square Garden, all that shit, all on a hard drive. And I'll just I'll just randomly throw in shit. And like sometimes I think, oh my God, how did I watch that? Like Bob Backlund was incredibly boring at a certain point of his career. Like it was just like, oh my God, what a snooze fest this is.
Yeah, and I don't think I would look at it as, oh my God, it's a 5-star match. But I think I look at it more of the fact that I was sitting in the same building as two very respected wrestlers having this match and all the drama with Owen and his family and then trying to get them to throw the towel and everything. I think it's more appreciating who I was watching and realizing that, I'm seeing, two relatively great individuals at their craft.
Did you ever have that looking back on your interest in New Japan? Have you ever had that feeling for a wrestler or a match in New Japan where it was like, okay, upon first watch, okay, it was good. And then maybe after multiple viewings or just kind of, I got to get back and look at that again. Like, have you had any of those moments ever?
Probably some of the stuff with Jay White.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say the same.
And I think we would both agree, especially his stuff early on. We just weren't, because he was refining the character and it was so different from all the other guys at that level within New Japan at the time. a totally different match style and a way of working, and just being bored and being mad. It's kind of like the House of Torture thing, in that you just get mad at it because it's not how we as Westerners want our New Japan to be. But then it's going back and going, oh, okay, this is he's actually on to something, and I'm an idiot.
But I felt that way too. I mean, yeah. I definitely was in that camp, and also like my biggest loss, air quotes, is Naito. Like for forever, I was like, I don't fucking understand what he's doing. Why is he not? Why, if he's not interested, why should I be interested? That kind of mindset. Like I just had no idea. And and looking back at that, that was some really great stuff.
Yeah.
Leading up to it, that I feel like I missed out on just because I was a little, I don't know, maybe hard-headed, maybe stubborn, maybe I don't know, but it just wasn't what I was used to, I guess.
Yeah, especially when he first came back. Like, go watch that I think it's G1 match, him and Ibushi, I think the first night, when he's just in full ingobernable mode. And it's incredibly frustrating because you're watching this man basically strip for like 5 minutes.
It's hot. Come on,
with his Raggedy Ann hair. And then just doing what he's doing. And again, it stuck out like a sore thumb from what anybody else in the promotion was doing at the time.
Yeah. I mean, that's the power of, I think, guys having some creative freedom over which direction they want to go. Like that was a hard reset, compared to, the silver and red jacket and all that stuff. How important do you think that is in your appreciation of New Japan? Like, are you a person who's fixated on matches and give me the fucking goods in the ring, match quality wise? And I put that in air quotes. Or do you like a little bit more of the character development side of pro wrestling? Or is it just an equal share?
For me, it's an equal share. Because you got to have the good matches to want to get up at 4:00 in the morning and watch it, right? Or to carve time out of your day to watch it on demand. There's got to be something to sink your teeth into. But as a part of that, you've got to be invested in some level in the performers. A friend of mine is a big WWE fan. He also likes New Japan. He's an Idol fan, so I always rib him every chance I get. But we've had this kind of standing deal now for the last few years that we'll get together for WrestleMania. And a friend of his comes from out of town, and we all get together and barbecue, and we sit outside, smoke cigars, and watch WrestleMania. So in me, as somebody that's just kind of dipping into WWE a couple of times a year when I go to this guy's house to watch it, I find myself kind of enjoying it because I'm with friends that really do enjoy it and get into it. So I'm feeding off of their excitement. But in the back of my mind, I'm sitting there in a vacuum going, I would never watch this alone.
Right. And who watches this? And you look over and, oh, it's them. Right? There's obviously an audience.
Yeah, there's an audience for it, and it fills its place, and it's still providing something to somebody, and that's great. I had another conversation with a friend last summer, and I was very snobbish, and I said basically that I wasn't into American wrestling because he asked me if I watched AEW, and I'm like, I just don't like the American style of wrestling and how they present it, which to me feels it's more character based than the kind of balance that New Japan attempts to create.
Mm. Is that a fearful thing for you though? Like, is it like, oh, please don't. Like if you take 2 steps, you're going to take 3, and then you're going to take 6, and then the next thing you know, we're WWE.
No, because I think history is borne out that they never go over the. Excuse me.
Well, I mean, I know what you're going to say, but they probably went the other way with Inoki and MMA and all that stuff. And again, they were trying to emulate what was the hottest thing in the country at the time, but. Like, it does feel like they can, on a whim, decide, okay, Nagata, you're going in there and getting your ass handed to you.
Right, there is that aspect, and then if you look, obviously we have to look at it historically, and like you said, they were trying to copy the hottest thing at the time and trying to recover and trying to capitalize on that. But even in more recent, I mean, we were all sitting here wringing our hands over the evil turn and the House of Torture, and oh my God, it's becoming too WWE, and this is bullshit, and this is not why I tune in, and yada, yada, yada. And what have we seen since that all started a couple years ago is now it's dialed back. Yes, it's still there, and you have the shenanigans, but they've have fine-tuned it and have found the proper place and the proper time for it.
Do you think in the relatively near future we'll see that change, and then them having more of a spotlight on them with Bullet Club Civil War?
Most likely, because they've been teasing it for so long. And we keep, if, with the VO Patreon, good $10, give them your money instead of busting through a paywall. At this point, I have no reason to believe that House of Torture will not play into the Bullet Club Civil War on some level. I would be shocked if they didn't.
Is this the longest build to any pro wrestling angle that you can recommend? This is like not only this is years that it's been, every time you think it's starting, it doesn't. And then so many false starts. Like, it feels like this idea of a Bullet Club Civil War has been on our table for 3 years, it feels like.
I just hope this one doesn't end on a boat.
Look, I think if they do it, they should go all in. And it feels like they're going to go all in. But man, it feels like they had some opportunities to make this happen with other people. And we'll get there. Which way do I want to go? I want to continue down this path because this is more interesting to me than a mindless Korakuen show that was okay. And we have new Never Six-Man Tag Team Champions, which is wonderful.
But but to me, it also signaled that House of Torture is going to enter into the Bullet Club Civil War because now they don't have the belts. They don't have anything to encumber them. They are free and clear. Evil is free and clear to maybe win his G1 block.
Mm. If you listened to last week, I was kind of like, Evil's going to be in the fucking mix.
Yeah.
Like, he's got to be in the mix, which is, again, means, we're going to dial up the shenanigans again.
I don't know about that because I think Jay White, I view Evil on a similar character path as Jay White. So Jay White comes onto this scene, flips from Chaos to Bullet Club, and then we had the G1 where Jay is just shenanigans left and right, not to the level of Evil, but very similar, frustrating, cheating. And then that eventually got dialed back to the point where, you're going to have some shenanigans, but they don't factor in to the closing stretch. And it's just all Jay being Jay and without Gato. And I feel Evil is on a similar plan. And we're slowly getting to that point of, there'll be some bullshit with Gato. Not Gato, Togo. But I think at the end, I'm hoping that will not factor into the closing stretch of like, say, a G1 block final.
Well, they'll be just in time to hear the boos, right?
Yes, yes.
We have finally, again, for those of you not in the know, they announced that they were going to have cheering, Korakuen. They were going to section off areas where people can cheer. And I guess in G1, they're going to have areas where if you're a fan of a certain faction, you'll be able to cheer. So
I don't think there's going to be cheering at Budokan. I think Budokan's doing the faction sections, but
no cheering.
I got the impression from, and I didn't watch the thing. I read the official tweet thread. I got the impression that we're not having cheering back. Sorry, kids, until September 4th and 5th at Corrigan.
Oh boy,
that's how I read that specific passage. And
that's a little disappointing.
It that kind of shocked me. I'm like, really, you guys?
How do you pull right? Why? What's the difference?
Why are you not doing it at Budokan? I don't know. And obviously, I could be wrong. I could be interpreting that incorrectly.
I'm going to read it right from the website.
Yeah.
And I quote from New Japan Pro Wrestling 1972.com and JPW1972.com. September 5th and 6th, we'll see special events in Korakuen Hall with half capacity to allow for a cheering section and allow fans to finally use their voices. Rules and details are to be announced for these cards, which will also feature separated sections for fans less comfortable with using their voices. So again, if you don't necessarily feel that it's the right thing for you to do from a health standpoint, you can get away from the people cheering. But how do you dial that back? Like, how do you?
But that's after but that's after G1. Doesn't G1 end in August?
When does G1? That's a great question.
G1 should be ending in August. It's almost a month.
Yeah, you're right. Phew. Yeah. How do you? What are they waiting for?
I don't know. Maybe it's Budokan. I mean, Budokan has weird rules, right? I mean, they wouldn't let Okada have his balloons.
Yeah.
So I could see it. If New Japan told me that the reason why G1's not having cheering is because of Budokan rules, I would totally believe it.
Do they think they're like? Are they saying New Japan saying, okay, we're going to run Budokan. We know that we're not going to be able to have cheering fans, but in lieu of that, we're going to have a pretty nice house, right? So if we have cheering, we're going to have 50% capacity, maybe, without the cheering, and we've done it without the cheering for over a year. It can be done. We know it can. We'll have them stomp their feet, but we're going to have a packed house and a bigger gate.
I think so. Because that was also a takeaway that I got from that business meeting, rah-rah State of the Union deal was obviously they're still trying to rebound their live gate sales. And they were happy that they had sold like 30,000 or 3. They were like, we've already sold this many tickets, and we're hoping for the entirety of the G1 that we can sell. And I think it was like 30 and 50 that they had sold like 30,000 tickets, and they were hoping to ultimately get up to 50,000 for the entirety of the G1. Right.
And I know they were encouraging people to go to multiple events just to kind of pump up that G1 and those ticket sales. I mean, this is a company that lives and dies by it. That's the biggest thing that impacts their bottom line is a live gate.
Yeah, so got to do what you got to do.
Speaking of got to do what you got to do, first time opportunities here. Attention turned to November 20th. New Japan and Stardom card. And after some speculation, Obari revealed that there would be a round 2, and that is in quotes, a round 2 mixed tags on the card that will also see New Japan Pro Wrestling and Stardom's Top Flight engaged in their own exclusive matches. Your thoughts on this pretty landmarkish decision, right?
It's landmarkish, but at the same time, I think they're doing the WWE style mixed tag to where, like, if somebody gets tagged by their partner, then the other. So let's say it's like
male, female,
right?
Right.
That kind of disappoints me because Japan and other promotions doesn't have a problem with just women fighting guys,
right?
But I also get that they're trying to ease New Japan is trying to ease people into this, I guess, in getting fans kind of used to this, maybe on both sides. So yes, very landmark. It's great that we're having that crossover. I personally am not a fan of the tag rules that they're using, but that's me. Your mileage is going to vary. I'm sure there's some people that are just very happy that they're going to have Stardom on a New Japan show, unironically. So
that's my point. I mean, for how many years? It seems like since the beginning of the internet. The first person who sent a message was, "Why aren't there women on New Japan Pro Wrestling shows?" And they've dipped their toes in it. They've had dark matches at Wrestle Kingdom. They've had live broadcasted matches as well. I gotta be honest with you. I think it's a good thing. Like, they own both companies. Why wouldn't you do something like this?
Oh, no, I completely agree that this is a great thing. I'm just more looking at how they're doing it. Now, I'm all for bringing the two brands together and having some crossover and doing some things. I just wish they weren't so baby stepping it. Just rip the Band-Aid off and just let, just let them go at it and not worry about, whether, gender and things like that.
You're involved in the Discord. You hear the chatter. What is the general temperature of that this announcement? Like, are people into it? Are people hesitant? Are people like traditionalist and like, I don't know if this will work, and why are they doing this? Like, what's the temperature in Discord?
I hadn't even really seen much discourse on it.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much of that is just that not being, they had the presser at 2:00 this morning. Let me go hunt around a little bit. And this is thrilling on air stuff.
This is live production. Yeah. This is what we do.
The discourse this morning was more about the G1 undercard matches being announced and Bad Dude Tito and Royce Isaacs being included.
I saw Jill taking a victory lap. Yeah, I saw Jill taking a fucking another victory lap. Taking a victory. He's not even on the show for a month, and he's taking victory laps.
Well, I mean, let him have his victory lap. He's the one sitting there watching Strong religiously.
How out of his mind is he right now? Do you think he's like, oh my God, I just want to get away and watch some wrestling and not have somebody yelling my name? He's going out of his mind, isn't he?
He's probably sneaking off to the bathroom and whipping out his phone and trying to find a quick match to watch.
Oh yeah, that's what he's doing in the bathroom, right?
Yeah. Well, you can do both, right? You got two hands.
I've never been ambidextrous. I could never get a pattern. There's a pattern that you need, like a it's like an engine almost. Oh. And like if you don't hit your pattern right, you're not going to really. It's going to be a waste of time. And so I can never accomplish that left hand. Why am I telling you that? She's like, that's great. Oh, that's wonderful. All right. So we talked about the booze. We talked about the Stardom. We're both in favor. Also, they announced some outdoor shows, G1 specials outside the TV studios. I always butcher the pronunciation. I always want to say acai, like the acai moonsault, but it's Sahi,
like the beer.
Asahi. Yeah, well, that's why I always say ashi. Like I messed that up too.
I thought okay. Isn't it? G1 special in Roppongi Hills.
Yes. Outside the studios. So I mean, I guess that would be a prime time special, I would think, right?
Hopefully.
Maybe, possibly, hopefully, right? And then they announced, what else did they announce? They announced the September 5th and 6th shows with the cheering.
The Suede, Suede in October.
That's right. Suede returning in October. UK, finally. They've actually gone without for a while. I mean, they've had Red Pro.
Right.
With some drips and drabs of New Japan guys, but to have a full-on New Japan Pro Wrestling show there, it's been a long time. It's been since what?
Royal Quest.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
That seems forever. I mean, that's Harold May. That's Wow.
That's Editor Dan getting accosted by.
Yeah. What the fuck was his name? I forgot that. I'm having a brain lock. Yeah. Oh fuck! What was his name? Come on, we got to do better than this.
I know.
I know and Kevin Kelly owes Dan a beer. That's a beer that's like 3 years in the making.
Right.
Because trust me, Kevin Kelly was very happy. What the fuck was that guy's name, Nicole? Come on, what are we doing?
What are we? Well, I think of this also plans to leverage our New Zealand dojo and run more events in Oceania very soon, and that's even been longer than Royal Quest. Yeah,
they did joint shows. Australia, right?
Yeah.
Did they ever make it to New Zealand?
I don't know.
I don't think they did.
No.
I'm going to say no. Yeah. But I know they did Sydney, Melbourne. So, look, to me, I opened the show up. Is New Japan back? I mean, everything. I want to say yes. And especially after the buzz of Forbidden Door.
Yeah,
I thought that let me get your take on Forbidden Door because I didn't hear that. What was your take?
I have no take on Forbidden Door. I was in Dallas celebrating a friend's birthday.
All right, you didn't watch it?
I did not watch it.
Wow, shocking.
And here's why. I think I've mentioned, and if you follow me on Twitter. I'm just not a big AEW fan. I don't get the chubby that other people do over their roster. And it doesn't, there's nothing about it that compels me to watch it. And
matches are good.
And that's what I've heard. And I don't doubt people in that regard. I did watch the Danielson Suzuki match, which I thought was fine. It's Suzuki being Suzuki and kind of leading Danielson through that match, and it was a decent match. But it wasn't enough for me to sit there and go, yes, I need to tune into this, and I need to see what Coke Man is doing. Allegedly. Insert your Jesus and Mero allegedly gifts here. And also, honestly, there's enough people that watch it live on the Discord that I feel like I'm almost watching it along with them. So I kind of get everything I need to at least kind of stay in the loop.
Were you excited by the prospect of it?
I felt the way I think a lot of people felt was that as the card was developing, that it had the makings of not. It could have gone one of two ways, and it went obviously the way that we are all very happy it went. Great show, exceeded expectations, yada yada yada. But on the other hand, there were the way that card was shaping up and being put together so slapdash. That it just screamed that it could have just gone off a cliff.
Right. Oh, it was close.
Right. And then also I was in Dallas and I didn't want to sit there with my friends and go, hey, can we pay $50 so I can watch this wrestling show instead of hanging out with you guys? Because I have to watch this thing,
Can I say this?
Yeah.
It was very good. Very good. I think if you saw it, and I think you would enjoy it. I do. I think you would enjoy it. I think you would think it was a really good 2 hours of your time.
And I will probably, when I have some free time, it's the trade show. My industry's trade show is coming up, so I've got to man the home front, and it's kind of one of those deals where I'm not off again until middle of next week, starting tomorrow.
What are you?
So yeah, so it's one of those at this point. Like if you were to say, Nicole, go watch it tonight, yeah, that's not happening because I'll be trying to go to bed before 2 a.m, kind of deal.
Come on, just watch it. Just watch. Stop being the curmudgeon. Just turn it on. You'll love it. I guarantee it. All right, here's what I'm going to do.
Craven.
Michael Craven. How can we forget?
I had to.
God damn.
I had to go hunt.
Who said that? Who was it? Somebody on Discord?
No. I had to hunt through. I went and hunted through some stuff to find that.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to pop out some questions from our Twitter account. That's right. I'm hopping on the Twitter.
Oh no!
But I don't have access to any. I don't have access. I don't have access to our Twitter account. I don't have access to it. Like I can't like respond or I can't like things. Like I'm not that I'm banned from it, but I don't want to do it. But anyway.
And also while you're pulling that up, the answer I got when I asked about Taco's kids was somebody went, "It's 7, right?"
Wow, the over hits.
Yeah,
7 kids. Could you imagine having 7 kids?
I can't imagine that. Well, let's be honest, I can't imagine having one right now.
Me neither.
You know, because in my case, it's because I apparently don't have autonomy over the festering remains of my the festering remains of my uterus. I have no autonomy over it. So
unbelievable. That's crazy. I mean, listen, that's preposterous. We all listen. I think everybody's in agreement there.
Yeah.
All right, let's pop out a question. Let's do this one here. Okay. Let's see who this is from. Why? Because it's addressed to you, Swordfish.
Yeah, I saw that. I think I saw that.
Swordfish. Being that you are the aficionado, the all-knowing, the scholar, Kota Ibushi. Do you have any sort of update on what's the latest with Kota Ibushi?
No. I know what everyone else knows. I'm not getting like Ibushi dropping into my DMs.
No.
No.
All right.
Yeah. No, I think it's just my understanding is, they're just going to let his contract expire and then just be like, see ya. Don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out. Now, I don't know what he's doing. He's gone relatively silent on Twitter. I'm kind of hoping he pops back up during the G1 just for like the drama.
God, could you imagine? It's already a very busy, stressful time doing all these G1 shows, and then he's going to pop in and just fucking start throwing M80s on it.
Yeah, I'm half waiting for that, but no, I mean I've seen some photos because there's some. There is a former kickboxer who is now a wrestler named Tyson Meguchi. I'm probably butchering his last name. He's in a Ganbare Pro. But he actually bills himself as coming out of the Ibushi Pro Wrestling Research Institute.
Remember that.
He uses the hashtag. Like the couple of his matches I've watched, when they announce him as being from the Ibushi Pro Wrestling Research Institute. He's a big friend of Ibushi. Like during his kickboxing days when he was doing weigh-ins, he was wearing the Ibushi boxers that New Japan was selling.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's living the dream right now. That might be the best kind of sub follow in that regards, because sometimes you get some pictures of him at Ibushi's dojo and you can see Ibushi in the background, just being Ibushi and looking,
walking in a circle.
No, looking fairly fit. It's never a head-on shot to where you it's not like that one Instagram photo that like insane people were sitting there going, look at his shoulder, it's smaller than the other shoulder. That's how you know New Japan is abusing him and bringing him back too soon. And I was looking at that photo going, I don't know what the fuck y'all are seeing, and y'all call me the Ibushi scholar. What the fuck, right?
I think people want to see, like, they have an idea of who he is and what he represents, and I think it goes I feel like people have a personal attachment, and I think this goes with a lot of wrestlers. Like, to me that's odd. Like when you feel like you have a personal connection, I guess, or relationship, like that's weird to me.
Yeah, it takes it from just being a fan into fanatic, right? And we've seen enough. We have lived enough years on this earth to see that can then end badly. Not that I'm saying anything, but that's the line drawn between the fan with the maybe hyperfixation, depending upon how your brain is wired for such things, versus you sitting there just staring at photos thinking that you can somehow divine the state of his shoulder.
Do you find that sort of fandom, and I hate using that term, but do you find that type of fandom to be exclusive to pro wrestling, or have you found that in other areas of your life?
No, it's every fandom has its toxic wing.
Yeah.
I'm a Doctor Who fan. I like Star Wars. I like Star Trek, all of those things. And all of those properties, have some really awesome, great fans. Doctor Who wise, I've got, probably my best friend I met through that um, at a convention. And he lives in Delaware. He's the one that got me those Riley Reid photos for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
do you still have them?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. I can resend them. Yeah.
You know she's pregnant?
No, I didn't know that.
Yes.
How are you handling this?
Not well. Not well at all. I know she got married because there's actually a YouTube video of somebody who went to the wedding.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then, I saw some recent pictures of her with child. She's almost ready to pop.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So I was like, oh well. Anywho,
but every fandom's going to have that wing where you're just like, okay, I do not want to associate with you people because you're just on a level that I have no desire to be on.
Right. Are you happy with the way New Japan handled that situation?
I don't know what other way they could have handled it, right? I mean, the only thing that I keep wondering about is why don't they just release them? Mm-hmm. And I don't know how much of that is a cultural thing in Japan, possibly. Like, that's just not done, releasing people. Because it doesn't feel like there's ever going to be an amicable resolution. This is not like a divorce and, we're just separating and then we come back together because we realize how much we missed each other. That just feels just like legit. Fuck you guys. I'm going to burn this shit to the ground. It's that scene from Waiting to Exhale where the car goes up in flames and I think it's Angela Bassett, like, lights the car up in fire and just walks away from it and just is like snapping her fingers and just proud of herself that she's blown this shit up.
Yeah.
So the only thing that I question is, why are they holding on to him? Are they hoping that in the next 5 months before 6 months before the contract is up, then he has a change of heart and dials the rhetoric down? I mean, they completely, according to one of Lance's Vogue Patreons, they completely shook up the backstage stuff and moved the official into different position. And
the official,
I know. and so put him away from talent relations. They've made all these other changes. So I'm not sure, outside of just outright firing Kikuchi, what more they could do on their end. And at this point, it's kind of the ball is in a way in Ibushi's court as to whether he wants to kind of let it be, or if he's just going to continue on, flaming everything left and right. And I think once we realized that it involved his mother, it just took it into a place that I can't even imagine the thought process at that point of wanting to go back to a workplace that you feel caused your mother enough pain to do what she did.
Yeah.
That
would you be disappointed if he wound up in a New Japan Pro Wrestling ring in the next 6 months, year?
No, I don't think so. It's just, because again, ultimately, as has been said numerous times, he's a grown ass man that can control his own destiny and make his own decisions. So if he was to pop back up, say at the end of Power Struggle, and challenge for the belt and say, I'm back, I want the belt, I would be perfectly fine with that, because unless some report came out that said that he was forced to do it, I would go, okay, you've searched your heart and your soul and you've come to this decision that you want to come back.
Do you feel like in any way that he would be strong-armed into that?
I don't.
I'm just
No.
asking only because, I mean, it's like you've got like feels like it's more than just a hey, you know what, we're not going to use you anymore, or I think this working relationship has run its course. We're going to not renew your contract. This has gotten much worse than that. I mean, you had a guy who, again, New Japan reshuffling the backstage office based off of the actions of his tweets.
Right. I'm not. Yeah. So this is not, say, like a typical WWE talent relation issue. And I'm just not sure. I'm trying to envision how they could strong arm him, because at this point, I think that if they could have, they would have.
Okay, so he's sitting out though, and he's still under contract.
Still under contract.
Right? So could they say, "Hey, you're under contract now. You don't have to show up, but you ain't working anywhere else." Right? So for 2 years, he's going to sit at home. Right?
Is that how long his contract is, or is it?
I mean, right. I threw two out there, but let's just call it one. Let's call it 1 year,
right.
And it may not. It may be less.
Yeah.
He's not working anywhere else. He's not making any money. Now, apparently, he doesn't necessarily need the money, but okay, he's not wrestling, which, correct me if I'm wrong, that's what he really wants to do.
Right.
So is that the company forcing his hand to say, okay, I don't give a shit, you could stay at home, but you're under contract?
Well, if that's the play, it's not working, because he's not in the G1, and you would think that if his desire to wrestle would ultimately exceed whatever animosity he has with the official and Obari, then I think we would have seen him in the G1. But I think that bridge is burned. I think that bridge is burned.
Yeah. Scale 1 to 10, New Japan ring. Is he ever coming back?
1, because never say never.
Right.
But I mean, I would be shocked if it's any time in the next couple of years. Now, maybe in the twilight of his career, maybe for like one last run, or just to kind of walk away on a bigger stage, maybe. But even then, I'm still, on a scale of 1 to 10, Super J cast gun in my head.
Yeah.
I think I'm taking a bullet.
Yeah.
I don't think that chamber's empty.
If they release him, where does he go?
I would prefer he would go the Suzuki route and go back to freelancing, because we've seen from Suzuki that you can come over to the States, do very little, and make a lot of money and make a lot of people happy.
It's probably the best way to go. Take those independent dates in the UK, those independent dates in the US. He could still do AEW if he wanted to.
Which I don't think he wants to do.
Do you think that's like the Kenny Ibushi thing?
No, I don't.
Water under the bridge at this point.
I don't know if that's water under the bridge at this point, because again, Ibushi's not in my TMs. So I think it's more of go back to, there's an interview he did shortly after he announced that he was staying, and Charlton translated some of it. And I don't remember the exact quote, but he was basically saying that the way AEW was presented to him at the time and the way they pitched it to him, and obviously things have slightly changed, but he was like, at the time, they were basically just like, just come, move to Florida and wrestle. There was no game plan for him, and he viewed it as a retirement move. That it would be something that he would do if he wanted to just retire, quote unquote. And the comments were very similar also to when he turned down WWE and saying that he doesn't wrestle for money.
Well, I think that's a definite, right? I think that's a definite, and like he needs that creative freedom to be able to do kind of what he wants to do against the opponents that he wants to do it with. I think the only way that he winds up in a New Japan Pro Wrestling ring is if there's a change in management, like a complete change in management. And I don't see that happening unless he has something in his pocket where he's like, okay, I've yet to drop the biggest hammer, and it's just a fucking scandal that rocks Bushiroad.
Right. Now on the AEW front, also we have to consider that they've got this growing relationship with New Japan, and depending on the internal feelings of New Japan about Ibushi, would AEW risk that by bringing Ibushi on board?
I don't think they would care. I honestly don't. I don't think that New Japan would be like, no, you can't go. You're under contract. Like, I really do believe that they would let him out of the contract and let him go to wherever he wants to go. The problem would be those joint shows at that point. And and if things here's the thing. It's pro wrestling. Like relationships that you thought were, there's no fucking way these people could be in the same room, let alone work together. They get ironed out. Things get ironed out.
So you viewed it ultimately as, hypothetically, Ibushi, his contract expires, they let him out, whatever, he's a free man. He goes to AEW. So you eventually see it as more of the CMLL Triple A situation with like Roosh and Andrade and Dragon Lee, and it's just a matter of our guys can't work with him.
Yeah. I mean, he's not going to move.
No.
But to do individual shows or popping in here and there, yeah, I think he's going to be a freelancer, and he'll be able to make that money. And again, I think AEW would be in that equation. So
you think AEW would be the best place where, if we still think we're going to see Omega Ibushi 4, you think it would happen there in an AEW ring?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Wouldn't it be something? Wouldn't it be something if it's a DDT show and DDT like sells out fucking Tokyo Dome?
Oh, that's the only way DDT is going to sell out Tokyo Dome.
Let me ask you this.
I adore DDT, and that's not. But I mean, the truth is, if Takagi legitimately wants to run the Tokyo Dome, that's the match.
That's the only
match.
So if they pull that off, let's just fucking have some fun here.
Yeah.
Do they? I'll set the over under. Like it's and it can be like a joint undercard. You can get All Japan in the mix, Big Japan, whatever you want to do. However you want to. This thing's going to fucking look. But DDT is running the Tokyo Dome with Ibushi, Kenny Omega on top. I'm going to set the number at 30,000. Do they get more than 30,000 in that building?
I think they.
So 30,001.
Yeah. Because I'm thinking of all the fly-ins.
Do you think there would be a lot of fly-ins?
I think there would be.
I think there would be too.
I
do.
I'm going to be saucy and go over.
Wow.
Imagine
that.
We talk about protected matches. That's an insanely protected match.
And here's two guys that have, they have a very close relationship. Both sour on New Japan Pro Wrestling, right?
Right.
Both have their issues. That would be the biggest fuck you to New Japan, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, would something like that fuck up a relationship with New Japan?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Because New Japan, I mean, if you believe everything that Kenny was saying in 2018 regarding the G1, it's very New Japan was gagging for that matchup and just begging them and trying to find ways to get them to finally give them that match. And then to see DDT or even a co-AEW DDT show at the Dome, like especially if AEW is involved, then you're definitely getting over 30,000.
Yeah. I don't know if the AEW component would be there. Like, I think I can't imagine them risking it. But I can imagine Tony Khan kind of throwing his arms in the air and being like, hey, I can't control Kenny Omega. He's a fucking loose cannon. and Ibushi not having any relationship with New Japan. And again, we're all just fucking having fun with this. We're just speculating here, people. But how fucking crazy would that be?
And Cyber Agent's got the money. Cyber Agent has more money than Bushiroad to pay.
Oh, I want to see it now. I want that to be in a DDT ring.
No. Remember, Cyber Agent is the parent company of DDT.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm talking just in terms of money. I'm talking in terms of, let's say, because Ibushi has also said that he doesn't see himself going back to DDT. But let's say Takagi rolls up on him and goes, look, I want this match. Tokyo Dome, main event.
Yeah.
It's what you two have always wanted. They've always wanted to main event the Dome with that match. Cyber Agent could pay just about any stupid amount of money that was thrown at them as the fee to make it happen.
I don't think it's as preposterous as, maybe 5 minutes ago or 10 minutes ago. I really don't. I mean, maybe I'm just talking myself into it, but I mean, that's a route I could absolutely see. I mean, and again, I'm not necessarily knowing all the fucking hoops that would have to go into it, but just imagine that. All right. Speaking of wrestlers and relationships and people liking each other and not, there was an interview, I believe, last week on Wrestle In.
I think it dropped today. Yeah.
Was it today?
I think it dropped today.
All right. Well, go check that out if you haven't. Wrestle In. Will Ospreay sat down and had some interesting tidbits, I'll say. Interesting tidbits on one Kenneth Omega, where he revealed that he was to be brought into AEW earlier, but apparently that was blocked by Kenny Omega.
Allegedly.
And Will Ospreay went on to say how, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for here?
I'm going to just pull this up. Fightful did a transcript of that specific section that we want to talk about. So why don't we just read this thing in full?
Let's do it.
Give me a second here. I'm going to pull this up. Okay. So this is after Ospreay saying that he thinks Kenny is the reason why it took him this long to show up in AEW. So give me 1 second here.
All right.
So Ospreay continued by saying, quote, "This whole thing has generated from back in 2019. It was Kenny's last match, and I guess he wanted Ibushi out there to second him." This is referring to Wrestle Kingdom 13. "I fucking blew Ibushi's brain out with the hidden blade. He's super fucking mad at me. The thing is, I'm mad at myself when those situations happen. I want to brain somebody, but it's a legal wrestling move. I'm allowed to do it. I'm allowed to do blows to the back of the head, 12-6 elbows down. This is a 9-3 elbow strike. I'm allowed to do it. Obviously, the repercussion is he got knocked out and it was a bad concussion. Since then, myself and Ibushi, we have gone out for drinks. We don't talk anymore, but after that point, we went for drinks and meals. We're fine. But Kenny is butthurt off an accident." Ospreay continued by saying, quote, "He can think what he wants about me, but the motherfucker is such a little bitch. The same person who is like, I grew up after 6 or 7 5-star matches. No, you didn't, you cunt. You vanity search your name on Twitter to see what everybody says, and when it's bad, you cry in the corner of your $1 million house, and you're still bothered by some cunt who sits doing some wrestling matches who is trying to help out not only the British scene, but the Japanese scene. Because I'm not an idiot when it comes to my company. We got hit hard by the pandemic. Does that mean I'm taking a day off? No, I'm working my ass off to bring it back because that's what you said to do. This is the reason I don't like Kenny. This is where some people can relate. When you say something to me, look me in the eye and speak to me. When you talk to me and tell me this and then go to the fans and talk differently, that's where we have a problem. You have my number. If we have a problem, call me and we can fucking talk about this. I don't have anything to say to him. Be all, end all. I'm sure if everyone was in the same room, I would slap him. The worst thing is people are going to listen and be like, they're building to something. We're not building up to anything. He's a cunt. I will slap that boy and remind him, you're a fucking 40-year-old man and you're fucking fragile. Do you really want to get with me? I will end you.
All right. So let's, first of all, I was very uncomfortable with you throwing around that C word. All right, that was very, very relaxed tone. You just chucking it around, just C bombs everywhere.
I'm a South Jersey girl. What do you expect?
I know. Yeah, I was like, man, this girl's been to Cherry Hill once or twice.
Fuck.
Again, that is Wrestle In that you would want to go to hear this interview. And I recommend doing it just because you get the full context. But with that being said, is Will working us here? Or do you think this is a legit beef?
I'm going to go with a little from column A and a little from column B.
All right. I like this. Go ahead.
It's mainly the bit about, is it, and I read a little bit more of the transcript that Fightful did because there's a little bit more in the full article on their website, where Will was like, I talked to, basically was saying about how, he talks to people in AEW and he was talking to them like after shows, having smokes and whatever, and was like, I'm not hearing glowing things about you from them kind of deal. So is there a little, so I'll
say this.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll say this. We talked to plenty of in-ring talent. And we talked to plenty of outside the ring. And we talked to plenty of former home big mix. I will say this with a preface of the gentleman in my conversations with him, and they were not in deep, they weren't, we weren't talking about political agendas of, it wasn't a deep philosophical conversation. He was very nice to me, and we had a cordial conversation, and it was more than fine. But I will say this, that there are more than a few that bring up, when we bring up his name or when his name has been brought up.
His being Will or Kenny?
Kenny.
Okay.
That there are sighs, eye rolls, a little difficult to work with, a little, I want to say diva mentality. More than a few. Now, I will also sandwich that with pro wrestlers can be very jealous. Pro wrestlers can be very spiteful. Pro wrestlers can be very petty. And I will also say this. The greatest wrestlers of all time probably could have a lot of those traits that people are eye-rolling and hand-waving, right? From CM Punk to Ric Flair to Hogan to go through time. Like the greats kind of have that. Like if you know what you want to be and you see yourself moving with a rocket strapped to your back in that direction, yeah, you're going to do everything you can to protect yourself from losing that spot. But again, there is a common denominator there. Kenny Omega. Now, I can't say it's rare, but usually when a pro wrestler goes on a little tirade like this, especially when it pertains to another pro wrestler, where there is a possibility of them meeting in a ring, it does, he's working his brother.
Right, and that's why I took a little from column A and a little from column B. For that reason, because I also am in the opinion that if the lips are moving, especially with anybody that works in Japan, because we see that all the time, like Jay, Jay's going on other podcasts and Jay's completely in character. So it's not just the Japanese guys that try to remain in character. It's, the Westerners that work in Japan try to maintain that work mentality. So yeah,
hey, look at Juice.
Yeah,
look at Juice.
Yeah. So the lips are moving. I'm assuming that at least half of what you're saying is a work to me.
Yeah. Do you think that's a good thing? Like, do you find these type of situations? Now, again, this is kind of one reason why I'm not the biggest fan of having people on like that are in the company. You know, it's like what are they going to tell me, right? Like, really, what are they going to tell me? Now, again, if I'm sure Will was speaking from the heart, but I believe Will Ospreay was speaking from the heart, right? Like, do you think it's a good, like, I guess my question is this. Are we at a point where pro wrestlers are using these platforms, podcasts, YouTube videos, whatever, fan-created content to help get over their own storylines?
They're stupid if they're not.
Yeah.
Because it's
I hate it, though.
Yeah, yeah, so love or hate, but I'm just from the standpoint of, are they using it? I think they're dumb if they're not, because especially in today's world with so many other avenues to reach fans, old and new, and to build, it's just another tool. It's just like Twitter or TikTok or Instagram or Facebook. It's going on somebody's podcast and having an interview and using that to further generate buzz. I mean, Will even himself says in that quote about how, oh, people are just going to think I'm building to something. And then he goes, oh, I'm not building to anything. Go look at the replies of the tweet that has the video clip of that. And at least when I looked at it earlier this afternoon, the overwhelming majority of the replies to that tweet were, oh, they're setting up a match. They're working us towards something. This is going somewhere.
A lot of that, though, is like in pro wrestling, fans don't want to be seen as with their pants down, right? They just
they don't want to. He worked me, and yeah, sometimes I have that.
Don't you love that, though?
I do.
Don't you love
I do.
Me too. I mean, I work me every fucking time.
I mean,
please.
I'll get mad for like 30 seconds that I got worked. And then once I realize I got worked, I go, ha ha, good on you. You got me. You got this jaded 40-year-old woman. Because this is what we watch for, isn't it?
Right. Yes. Correct. Absolutely. 1,000%. And if not, I mean, I guess you can enjoy it however you want to enjoy it. But the idea of things happening that you didn't expect happening is very difficult to maintain in this world, right? Things get leaked all the fucking time, right? That being said, has anyone made money promoting a match this way, or is it just part of the process? Like, I don't know. To me, I kind of like the idea of mystery behind a guy that's not tweeting as opposed to a guy who does go on podcasts and interviews and kind of does this to create buzz.
I think it's just an avenue one can go. So we have somebody like Juice who is for the most part doesn't get involved in any of this, right? He doesn't do interviews. That probably should have been our first clue we were getting worked by Juice, the fact that he was even doing interviews to begin with. So you've got Juice who doesn't have a Twitter account, and all we hear about Juice or anything is like secondhand stuff if it's not happening on a show. And then you've got somebody like Will, who is very online on Twitter, cannot put it down, even though he's tried, right? And I think ultimately, so for him, it's just a tool and another way in his mind to further his character, to further create buzz, and to get people involved to want to come out to the shows to see him.
Yeah. Because I can't think of any other benefit for having that type of conversation. Like, what's the benefit in him? Even, okay, let's just say that there's no possibility of a match ever occurring, and we're not doing this to plant seeds. Like, why would anybody do that? Like, eventually you're gonna share a locker room with the dude,
right?
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just makes no sense to me, right?
Yeah. So it's just another tool in the toolbox.
Yeah. All right, let me do this. Let's quickly, because we're already at an hour and a half in. How about that? Did you catch any of the Cork and Hall shows with? We had a never 6-man title change.
Yeah, so
the new champion, Yo of all people, getting the big pin on show, and he's now holding gold along with Yoshi-Hashi and Hiroki Goto as they defeated the House of Torture team. How do you like the dog pen matches? Do you want to see more of that in Pro?
Here, the only thought I had in my head besides "please let this end" was, how do real deathmatch guys view that match? Because they were billing it as a dog cage deathmatch.
Yeah,
and I was just sitting there going, proper deathmatch guys have to be watching that and just like throwing something at the TV screen and just being incredibly insulted. Speaking of incredibly insulted, I did watch the shows for the most part in their entirety. The last night I just watched the dog match, a dog cage match, and that
can't believe you're saying that out loud, right?
I know. That led into, I did like how it organically led into the Never 6-man. I did like that.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of being insulted, how are you feeling as a Noah fan watching your GHC champ basically curtain jerk a New Japan Corrigan? How are you feeling as an All Japan fan to watch your junior heavyweight champion curtain jerk a show?
Yeah, I can't imagine. And there are I know plenty of passionate Noah fans. They can't be thrilled with that. And they can come up with any excuse in their head of how to justify it. You can't be happy with that. Like, it's just, I trust me, I sit here and I think, man, this year, I sat on this nonsense podcast talking about how fresh and how hot and how, boy, they're just blowing the doors off New Japan right now. And boy, how great would it be to be just sink your teeth into the Noah stuff. And I think we were the kiss of death, because ever since that show, it has been nonstop, just head scratchers. Like, what in your mind, what is the justification of a guy who is well past his best days winning that title for the promotion? And he's tag match second from the top.
He's a dad.
He's beyond that.
Right. But I mean, me personally, looking at the Noah situation as not a passionate fan, I'm still trying to figure out why they were putting the belt on Muto, why they're putting it on Fujita, and why they were doing that, right? And then they just take it to the next level and put it on Kojima, who then is showing up at New Japan shows to wrestle Taka Michinoku, which, no offense to Taka, the legend that he is, but you're having your belt go to other promotions in the undercard. And it can't get much lower than that. Maybe a dark match, right? You're like, that's right. It. We're on the flip side. When New Japan champions went to other promotions, they were treated with respect. Okada goes to DDT, and he's showing up as the big bad bully that's going to teach this upstart indie where its place is. They didn't have Okada fighting, Dino on the undercard.
It's.
But why?
I don't know. Why would we even put him on the show? I guess like if there was no spot for him, like if there was no place. Okay, hey, listen, we got these matches, but why shoehorn him in on this show? Like, I'm just trying to think of, like, if I'm a Noah fan, am I happier that he's on this show and getting maybe a couple more eyeballs, Or am I like, what the fuck?
But how is he getting more eyeballs when he's fighting Taka? It's not like he was fighting Okada or fighting even a young lion who he's helping to showcase that this young lion could be somebody someday. He's fighting Taka.
Right. But he's on a stream that quite possibly could get more people watching than a random Noah show that would be streamed.
Right. And my point is that then if your intent is to get more eyeballs, hope to maybe grab a couple extra eyeballs for your product, he's got to be in a match that's actually meaningful.
Yeah. And here's the thing, too. It's not like you're grabbing any new audience.
No.
Maybe. I mean, everybody knows who he is, that's watching that stream. It's watching New Japan World. So it's not like, it's this guy Kojima. Like, you know who he is. Right. I mean, do you tune in just to see him defend the title?
But he wasn't even defending the title.
Well, I know on this, but like, I guess in the future, I mean,
I don't know. It's not sexy at all. And then All Japan did the same thing with Tiger Mask and their junior belt.
Yeah, Tiger Mask.
I just love that New Japan is, we'll work with other promotions. We're going to have you put your belt on our dads.
I mean, would you give... Here's the thing. If and when he loses, and probably sooner than later, it's not going to be a big deal if he loses to whomever they want to put over, right? It's really not. It's not going to be a big deal.
No.
But let's just say, for sake of shits and giggles, you put the title on, I don't know, fucking Hanare, right? Like, him losing, would him winning... Like, what would you, again, put yourself into a Noah fan's shoes. And, okay, you have to have it on a New Japan guy, but there's a certain level you're not going to get. Like, you're not going to put it on Jay White. You can't do that. You're not going to put it on Okada. You're not going to put it... Would you rather have Hanare or would you rather have Kojima? Probably Kojima, right? Just from the name alone and the history.
If my only choices are Kojima and Hanare, I'm picking Kojima because Hanare's nothing. Hanare's not even in the G1 without them expanding it to 28.
Well, true, right.
Right? I mean...
I'm trying to think, like, who would be...
I would put it on Sonata.
That's not a bad choice.
That is at least the level of New Japan guy that if I have to sit here and go, okay, who do I put another company's belt on for whatever reason... I'm putting it on the Sonata level guy. Sonata, Zack Sabre Jr., those guys. Maybe even a Tai Chi. Your somebody in that upper mid card, not a tippy top guy, but at least an upper mid card, because I know the way that New Japan lays out their cards, I'm at least guaranteed that they're, for the most part, will be in a match that is after the intermission. And they'll be facing interesting people and be able to better showcase what I'm about as a promotion than curtain jerking against, other legends and other dads.
I think that's probably the best case scenario. Like Sonata. Like, I'm really trying to rack my brain and be like, okay, like who?
Yeah.
That's not a bad pick. I mean... he's not a spring chicken.
No, but, he's younger than just about anybody holding a belt in Noah right now.
Right. It's that infusion of youth that they would have. I want a 30-something-year-old guy.
And he's super popular. And so I would feel fairly confident that Sonata fans would follow him to Noah to see him defend the belt.
I think we solved the problem.
Yeah.
I got to be honest with you. I see we call that Pickering guy and get in his ear. All right, listen, let's wrap it up. An hour and 38 minutes. We talked everything. And I like this. I like this format. And I wouldn't be surprised if this format is the way it's going to go moving forward, at least for the month, or until some breaking news and Joel's like, I want to be on, I want to be on, I want to be on.
So would you say that this format is fresh?
Come on. Oh my God, we forgot the read, didn't we? Shit. I would say that it is fresh. Absolutely fresh. Would you say it's fresh?
I would definitely say it's fresh.
Do you want to do the read? That's what I'm trying to do.
Oh, shit. Okay.
You.
No,
no, you don't have to. I figured I'd, let you do the read.
Shit, yeah.
Yeah, I can do it.
I'm trying to pull it up.
I think I know it by heart. I'm going to let you do the read. I'm going to let you do the read.
All right.
Were we supposed to do this in the beginning of the show?
Probably. I'm sure do it at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, Dan, stick it somewhere. Just chop this part, throw it in the front. All right, we're going to do the read now anyway. We're making a ton of money doing this anyway. So go ahead. You got it. Let me know when you got it. You got it.
No,
all right.
No.
Hey. Oh, you don't have it yet? Okay. I'll give you the hey.
I'm trying to figure out. I'm just pulling this thing up.
All right.
Do they have just a basic?
Yeah, it's like
a basic ad read instead of just talking points, because I'm just looking at talking points.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I can do it, Nicole.
Yeah, I am not prepared unless I just read off the.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So
right,
yes, Damon, I would say it's fresh, as almost HelloFresh.
Ah, there it is. Yes, of course, HelloFresh, our good friends at HelloFresh. Delicious food delivered to your door. Garden fresh, farm fresh, all kinds of fresh delivered to your door. How convenient is that? We are big fans here at the McDonald House. We love the HelloFresh. Comes delivered in a very convenient box that is, frozen stuff stays fresh. Your veggies stay fresh, and it's pre-portioned. You're not going to waste, spending time at the supermarket. It's all coming to your house. You order it online. You pick your meals. No more. What are we going to have for dinner? Look, here's what you need to do. Nicole, do you have that website right in front of you?
I will in a second.
That HelloFresh.com/VOW. What's the number?
Pulled the wrong thing up.
VOW, what's the number?
Let me.
16, I believe it is.
Yeah, I believe it's 16 as well. Let me.
All right.
Yeah, we're going to double check this.
Double check it because it's important.
I know.
VOW/ I believe it's 16.
Yeah. VOW 16.
All right. And then what code are you going to put in, Nicole?
Oh, the code you are going to put in isn't it VOW 16?
It is. How easy is that, right? You put that in and you're going to get some free gifts and up to 16 free, unbelievable, 16 free meals. You think of that? It's a fantastic deal. So I know you've been thinking about it. I know it's been on your radar. Now's the time to do it. You stuck with this show to this point. You might as well do it now. VOW 16. That's HelloFresh.com/VOW 16. Put in the code VOW 16. Get all those goodies and get on board with HelloFresh. HelloFresh. Thank you. All right. So now we can wrap it up, right?
Right. Now that we've done talking about HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit.
Very good. Look at that. You just throw in little HelloFresh jabs till the end of the show. Listen, let me thank you once again for hopping on board. When we put out the bat signal, you are always there to respond and come through with flying colors, is what I want to say. So I definitely appreciate you taking the time to hop on with us, and I know our listeners do as well.
Oh God, no! Thank you for having me on. Like as we were talking about in the in our little 5-second warm up, I did not think I was getting this call after listening to last week's podcast. I thought you would have people.
The first one.
I thought you would have people infinitely cooler than me on while Joel is gallivanting across the UK and maybe taking down the British government.
Did you see that?
Did.
I was like, he's there for the first time in 4 or 5 years,
and he topples Bojo. I'm like, go Joel!
I know, he's unbelievable. The stroke this man has is pretty fucking unbelievable. Yeah, so he's having a good time. But no, again, thank you for being there, because between the work that you do on Discord and you coming in, us making a hot tag to you to come in, we definitely appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on. Ton of fun as always.
Awesome. So, hey, listen, if you want to support us, redcircle.com, throw us some bucks. Why don't you? We could definitely use it. And buy a t-shirt, prowrestlingtees.com/whatever we are. Super. Look for us. We're there. Buy a t-shirt. It makes us feel good. Thank you to the great editor, Dan, who Not a lot of work for him this week, but I'm sure he'll enjoy the shout out. Go follow him. Lousy Hero was at 2-9. Escape the Box. You definitely want to tune in on Spotify or Apple Music or wherever you stream your music. Lots of new stuff coming out from him, and it sounds fucking tremendous. This fucking Escape the Box. I'm telling you, Nicole, they're going to headline Glastonbury, and then we're going to have VIP access backstage. It's going to be great. Just wait. Just hang in there. Yeah, just hang in there. All right, we did the damn plugs. You got anything you want to plug? Plug away.
If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at Booze Leprechaun. Booze being spelled BO, the number 0, ZE, and then Leprechaun, all one word. Slide into Joel's DMs if you want to get into the Discord. I'm letting him be the gatekeeper, so then if he lets somebody in that I've got to boot, I can blame it on him. It's all part of my plan.
It's a good plan.
It's worked so far.
Anything else? Anything else you got going on?
No, not really, unless you want to slide into my DMs and order cigars from me. If you're over the age of 21.
Yeah, listen, if you're a cigar fan, that's the person you want to. That's definitely the person you want to hit up. So, again, thanks for tuning in. A little different format this week, but I think we had a lot of fun. Next week, I don't know who the fuck we're going to have. So it'll be somebody. We'll figure it out. We'll get through this month without Joel and his seductive, sexy voice. All right. See you next week. Later. Goodbye.